My name is Chris Forsyth. I work at Music Travel Consultants. We're based in Indianapolis, so just down the road. I got up super early and drove up this morning, so that was fun. I used to be a band director. I taught band for 5 years, and now I've worked at MTC for 7 years. Really fortunate to travel with bands, choirs, and orchestras from around the country. So as far away as Alaska to New York and everything in between. We do a lot of stuff. Disney is one of our top destinations. We do so much with Disney, and they do such a good job. It's obviously a lot of fun, but Orlando is a really educational destination as well. So what I'm going to do today is just walk you through what the Disney trip looks like. Okay, the sheet that you've got on your stand is actually how you get registered and make your payments. So as you start talking to your parents about this, as they have questions, hopefully we get you all that info today. So I'm going to talk about the sheet last, and I want to just walk through what the Disney trip looks like, what the costs are, things like that, how to get registered, what to expect. So next October 9th to the 13th, it's a 4-night trip. One of the really cool things about this trip is we are looking into flying. So not busing, but we're looking into flying, okay? When we start talking about the price and the payment schedule and all that and how that works, I'll talk more about that and why that's such a big component in a trip like this, but obviously there's a factor with airfare there. Going in October, we think that we have a chance of getting some really good airfare, and I'll talk about that more when we get to the payment schedule. So we'll get up super early, we'll meet here at school, we'll take charter coaches to whichever airport we fly out of, either O'Hare or Midway, and then we hit the ground running when we get into Orlando. So the first thing we do, we'll go drop off our bags at the hotel, and then we head to the park right away. When you start looking through the itinerary, and I'll point this out on all the slides, but you'll see different things that say lunch in Orlando, you'll see things that say dinner here and there. We'll do breakfast at the hotel each morning, but when you talk to your parents about what all is included in the trip, the answer is literally everything, okay? So we provide everything in the trip, whether that's tickets, whether that's meals in the park, whether that's breakfast at the hotel, whether it's dinner things, all of that is included. So at the end, when we get to next October, the only money you need to bring out of pocket is extra spending money. So whatever you want to buy for souvenirs in the park. Literally everything else is already included in the price of the trip. One of the cool things about this trip is doing a private dinner at Epcot. So if you've been to Epcot and Disney before, you know that each park has a big nighttime show, and Illuminations is the show at Epcot. One of the cool things that we're able to partner with Disney is we can do a private dinner inside of Epcot where we set up a buffet for just our group right on the side of the lagoon, and then we have the best seats in the house for the Illuminations fireworks show that night. I'm a band geek, so I love the soundtrack to Illuminations. It's some of my favorite music. Next morning, like I mentioned, we'll do breakfast at the hotel. One of the big highlights of the trip is one of these musical opportunities, and that's going to be the Your Instrumental Workshop. And we'll apply for that this October, a full year in advance for this Your Instrumental Workshop. And what the workshop is, it's a private clinic in a backstage area of Disney rehearsal facilities where they bring in a Disney musician. They have tons of people that work with all of the musicians in the park, and what they do is they will assign our group a clinician, and you'll have a chance to learn some songs from an actual Disney movie. So let's say you might learn the opening credits to Aladdin. And this clinician will take you through the steps of what it would be like if you were a studio musician in LA, for instance, learning this music. You get one shot to do it, and then we're recording a tape. So they take you through all these different processes. You get a chance to learn several different songs. The last group I had, they did Tangled, for instance. So they rotate the movies, but then they take what you actually play and they project it onto a screen while the movie's playing. So you get to watch the movie while you're playing the soundtrack to the movie, and then you get a DVD of that. Well, the directors get a DVD of that at the end. It's a really, really cool, educational, but a lot of fun workshop opportunity. So that's one of our big musical components of this trip. Magic Kingdom, we'll have a chance to spend a whole day there. I mentioned lunch and dinners in the park. Inside the parks, we give you a Disney dining card, which has to be used on food. Okay, so especially if your parents aren't going on the trip, we always tell parents there's peace of mind knowing that we'll hand you this card and you have to use it on food. Okay, now whether you do like Mickey ice cream bars and popcorn all day, that I can't help you with. If you want to do that, you can go right ahead, but you have to eat with the card. It's not like you can eat it on souvenir or use it on souvenirs. Okay, Celebrate the Magic and Happily Ever After is the nighttime show at Magic Kingdom. One of the other big highlights of this trip is this middle day, which I'm really excited about because not a lot of groups get the opportunity to do some of the other things that are in Central Florida. We'll do breakfast at the hotel that morning. One of the other highlights of this trip will be doing a performance at what's called Give the Kids the World. It's a resort area for medically challenged students, kids. They do free work for students from across the country who can come, who maybe can't afford to do a lot of vacation-y type things, and the Give Kids the World area provides them not only medical relief, but it provides them a chance to have a great time and just relax and have fun. That'll be a really moving performance. That'll have a lot of meaning behind it to be able to perform for the folks that are at the Give the Kids the World facility that morning. After that, we'll head east over to Cocoa Beach, which is where Kennedy Space Center is. Again, this is not an opportunity that most people have a chance to visit, just because there's so much to see and so much to do, but we're gonna have a great chance to explore, take their tour. There's a ton to see at the Kennedy Space Center over on Cocoa Beach. After that, we'll head on down to Cocoa Beach, which is just south of Kennedy Space Center. We'll do a beach barbecue over there. We'll have a chance to spend some time at the beach. Ron John's is the famous surf shop that's there in Cocoa Beach as well. When we get back to town that evening, we'll spend an evening at Disney Springs, which used to be called Downtown Disney if you're familiar with the Disney stuff, but lots of shops and restaurants and food and things like that. So that'll just be a relaxed evening. We'll give you money to grab dinner while we're at Disney Springs that night. After that, last couple of days, we'll do breakfast at the hotel again, like I mentioned. Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom's had a ton of updates lately, so we've got the World of Avatar, Pandora is most recently open there, and then Rivers of Light is the brand new nighttime show at Animal Kingdom. It's a great park now to spend a lot of time in for sure. That's where Festival of the Lion King is. It's the best show in all of the Disney parks. It's like the Lion King in 30 minutes with live action folks and music. It's a really cool experience. Last day, breakfast at the hotel, and we're still doing stuff, so we'll go to Hollywood Studios. I mentioned lunch in the park. And then when we're done at that day, we'll look for the latest flight home possible so we can maximize our time there. Head to the airport, we'll give you money for dinner at the airport, and then we're back here. So it's a really busy 5 days, 4 nights, but we want to go, we want to do it all, we want to see as much as we can, we want to spend as much time in the parks, we want to have those 2 awesome musical experiences, plus the beach time and the Kennedy Space Center stuff. So I think it's going to be just an absolutely awesome trip. Obviously there's some costings to that, and these are the 2 screens that I want to talk through especially so that you can convey information to parents on what does all this mean, what do all these numbers mean, what does that include, things like that, okay? On this screen, we call this the tour conditions page. 2 important bits of information. Where it says travelers across the top here, that's what we think could be a best and a worst case scenario of total number of Woodstock travelers that are going on the trip. So those numbers include students, staff, and chaperones. That's all of your folks that might go on the trip. I think we were just talking, there's 99 students in orchestra, is that right?
Yep, for next year, yep.
Awesome, so we have 99 students eligible to go on the trip. So if you look at that number of eligible students plus the number of families and chaperones that we know will want to go, we think we're going to be in this range of travelers, okay? Down the side here, these are the hotel occupancies. So when your parents ask, well, which one of these am I looking at? Your answer is going to be this line, okay, the Quint line. When you have a chance to sign up for roommates at the end of the process, you don't get penalized if the math doesn't work out correctly, okay? Students, you guys are rooming with other students, you're always going to pay this amount. One thing I want to mention about the hotel, if you're familiar with Disney, you know you can stay on property. We're not doing that because we're saving a lot of money by staying off property. So we'll have buses and things like that as we need. We'll do breakfast at the hotel. Those are all things that we debated a lot about trying to keep the cost down, maximizing the experience. So we are staying off property. We use an awesome resort style property so we can sleep 5 kids in a room. There's 2 beds and a pull-out sofa. You can actually sleep 6, but we don't like to do that. So that's what the Quint line here means. So when your parents ask which one of these lines I'm looking for, you're telling them for the student rate, it's the Quints. The rest of these, those are for your parents, your adults and the chaperones that are going. They can room themselves however they would like. So if mom and dad want to go and share a room together, they're going to look at the twin line for their estimated pricing. Okay, if there are 4 moms that are going to go and hoop it up in Orlando and share a room, then they can look at the quad line. Okay, so these more for adults and chaperones. Quint line, that's the rate that you guys are looking at. We already have an airfare budget built in. Looking at what airfare has been out of Chicago in October over the last couple of cycles, we think that is going to be on the high end, okay, which is great. We want that number to come down. And I mentioned right out of the gate with the airfare, why is that important? The very first deposit up here, October 1st, that's coming up here in about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. Really, really important for a couple of different reasons. Airfare, we're able to get 11 months ahead of time, which means that in late November, we can go get airfare. We want to know how many people are going on the trip by the time that we go ask for airfare so that we get the absolute best airfare that we can. So October 1st, we want to have everybody signed up and registered on the trip, and I'll talk about how to do that in just a second. Starting this now, then we've got 2-month installments in between there. You see these $250 installments. What's nice is those are over 2 months. So if you think about it monthly, it's $125 a month. In 2-month installments, it's $250. So we spread them out as much as we can over the course of the process, which is great. Parents might also ask you this non-refundable versus refundable, okay? There is no risk to signing up by October 1st because we want to know how many people are going on the trip. What we don't want is say, we don't know, we kind of want to see what's happening, and let's say we go get air for 70 and then we have 30 more people sign up. That could really skew what that cost ends up being. So that's why there is no risk. We get the airfare in between here, we send it out, and then that gives you a chance to cancel. If your parents are like, no, you know what, this is not for me, they can still cancel before we get to that December 1st point and get all their money back. Okay, so there's no risk to registering. If they have questions, they can contact me and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Look at the sheet for me real quick on your stands. Everything that we do is online, so everything that you